The Frozen Academy, the story opens at the Galactic Military Academy on the ice planet Keth-7. The Academy trains cadets from across the galaxy to become officers in the United Worlds Fleet. The Academy is known for its harsh conditions, designed to test the limits of different species. A group of alien cadets from various worlds struggle through their survival training in the frozen wasteland. The cadets include Nyx, a reptilian saurian who comes from a desert world and suffers greatly in the cold Vel. Insectoid hive mind, member whose species relies on technology for warmth. Rock, a massive fur-covered ursarin who should handle cold well, but is still struggling. Lyra, a graceful, bird-like avian whose feathers provide little protection against the extreme cold. The cadets huddle together in their basic shelter, shivering despite their thermal gear. Their instructor, Commander Thane, a cold-adapted cryo-species, has given them minimal supplies and expects them to survive 3 days in temperatures that drop to -40 degrees. The alien cadets are failing miserably. Their high-tech heating units are running out of power, and they have no idea how to generate warmth without technology. Enter Jake, the only human cadet in the program. Humans are relatively new to the galactic community, and most species see them as primitive and weak. Jake watches his fellow cadets struggle and realizes they have no concept of making fire, something so basic to human survival that it seems impossible other species never learned it. The part ends with Jake quietly gathering materials while his fellow cadets assume he's given up or gone to find the instructors to quit the exercise. Jake begins demonstrating the ancient human art of fire making. He starts with the most basic method, friction fire, using a bow drill. The alien cadets watch in confusion as Jake collects dry wood, tinder, and creates a simple bow from flexible branches and cord from his gear. As Jake works, he explains the science behind fire to his fascinated audience. He talks about the fire triangle: heat, fuel, and oxygen, concepts that seem revolutionary to species that have relied on technology for millennia. The aliens are amazed that humans discovered these principles thousands of years ago. Nyx, the reptilian cadet, is particularly interested as Jake explains how different materials burn at different temperatures. Vel, the insectoid, is fascinated by the chemical reactions involved. Rock begins gathering materials as Jake shows them how to identify good tinder and kindling. When Jake finally creates his first ember and blows it into flame, the alien cadets are stunned. Here's warmth and light created from nothing but natural materials and knowledge. Jake builds the fire carefully, explaining how to maintain it and feed it properly. As the fire grows, the cadets huddle around it, feeling genuine warmth for the first time in hours. Jake shows them how to reflect heat using rocks and how to create a windbreak to protect their flame. The human also demonstrates different fire-laying techniques for cooking versus warmth. The part ends with Jake teaching them about fire safety and the responsibility that comes with controlling such a powerful force. The alien cadets begin to understand that humans didn't just stumble upon fire, they mastered it through careful observation and experimentation. Word spreads through the academy about the human cadet who created fire from nothing. Other cadets and even some instructors come to observe as Jake demonstrates more advanced techniques. He shows them how to make fire in wet conditions, how to create different types of fires for different purposes, and how to use fire for signaling. The alien cadets become eager students. Nyx learns to identify which stones will spark when struck together. Vel discovers how to create charcloth for easy fire starting. Rock masters the art of splitting wood properly for fuel. Lyra learns to weave tinder bundles that catch fire easily. Jake explains that fire was humanity's first great technology. It allowed early humans to cook food, work metal, clear land, and survive in harsh environments. Fire gave humans the ability to live anywhere, on their planet and eventually reach for the stars. The instructors are impressed but puzzled. Commander Thane questions why humans developed such primitive skills when they could have focused on advanced technology. Jake explains that understanding basic principles made humans better at using advanced technology. They understand the fundamentals that more advanced species take for granted. During a practical exercise, the power fails in part of the academy. While other cadets panic and wait for repairs, Jake and his trained companions quickly start fires for warmth and light. They use mirrors to reflect sunlight, create oil lamps from available materials, and even forge simple tools using fire and metal. The part ends with Jake being called to demonstrate his fire-making skills to the Academy's senior staff. The human realizes that what he considered basic survival knowledge is actually a lost art to most of the galaxy. Asterisk, the Academy decides to test Jake's methods in a real emergency scenario. A transport ship crashes in the frozen wilderness, and the cadets must survive and signal for rescue. All high-tech equipment is damaged, leaving them with only basic materials. Jake takes charge, organizing the alien cadets into teams. He shows them how to create multiple fires for different purposes: warmth, cooking, signaling, and metalworking. The cadets work together, applying everything they've learned about fire science. Nix uses fire to melt ice for drinking water and to cook food safely. Vel creates smoke signals that can be seen for miles. Rock learns to forge simple tools from metal salvage using fire. Lyra weaves baskets that can be used for carrying coal and maintaining fires. The group faces challenges. Wind threatens to extinguish their fires, and wet fuel is difficult to ignite. Jake teaches them about fire maintenance, showing how to bank coals for overnight warmth, and how to restart fires from embers. As they work, the alien cadets begin to understand that fire is more than just a tool. It's a way of thinking. It requires planning, observation, and respect for natural forces. They realize that humans succeeded not because they were physically superior, but because they learned to work with nature rather than just dominating it through technology. Rescue team arrives to find the cadets not just surviving, but thriving. They've created a comfortable camp with multiple fires, cooked food, clean water, and clear signals. The aliens have learned that sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones. Asterisk, Jake's demonstration changes the Academy's curriculum. Fire-making and primitive survival skills become mandatory courses for all cadets. The humans' methods are studied and adapted for different species and environments. The alien cadets who learned from Jake become instructors themselves, spreading fire knowledge throughout the galaxy. They discover that many species had similar technologies in their ancient past, but abandoned them as they became dependent on advanced tools. Nix returns to his desert world and teaches his people how to make fire without technology, helping them survive in regions where power systems fail. Vel's hive mind species incorporates fire-making into their emergency protocols. Rock's people rediscover traditional metalworking techniques that their ancestors used before industrial technology. Jake is promoted and eventually becomes an instructor at the Academy. He develops a comprehensive survival course that teaches not just fire-making, but the philosophy behind it, understanding basic principles, working with natural forces, and maintaining skills that don't depend on technology. The story reveals that other species begin studying human history, primitive technologies. They discover that humans have solutions to problems that advanced civilizations thought unsolvable. Fire-making becomes a symbol of human ingenuity and adaptability. The final scene shows Jake, now a senior instructor, teaching a new class of cadets from dozens of species. As he strikes flint to steel and creates sparks, he explains that fire was humanity's first step toward the stars. The alien cadets watch and wonder as flame springs to life, understanding that they're witnessing not just a survival technique, but a fundamental force that shaped civilization itself. The story ends with Jake's words. Fire taught us that with knowledge, patience, and respect for natural forces, even the weakest can survive and thrive. That's not just survival. That's the foundation of all progress.